Okay, I have taken the frying pan and I've got it heated up right now. It's up on medium high. I'm going to back it off to about medium. And here I have about a 5-pound chuck roast. And the way to get a perfect chuck roast is first to brown it up on all sides. As it's browning, I'm going to wash my hands. You don't want to move it too quick. You want it to brown all the way around so that each side comes out perfect. As I said, this was about a 5 1/3 pound chuck roast. I asked them for one with a lot of fat on it. However, they didn't have one with a lot of fat on it. While I'm waiting for that to brown a little bit, I'm going to prep an onion and get this ready. What I do with a good pot roast is I chunk these into fairly good sized chunks, and then I lay the chunks under the pan that this is going to cook in the oven. Now I've preheated the oven to about 250 degrees while this is all getting prepped. I've not added anything to this as yet, the spices or whatnot, but I will be putting on some minced garlic in the bowl, as well as some wine. The alcohol in the wine will be cooked off in the oven, so if you're worried about kids eating it, you don't have to worry. And the only purpose of this onion, basically, is to hold my meat off the bottom of the can. And so what I do is I slice some fairly thick slices of this onion, just like that. Break them apart a little bit. I'm going to layer the bottom of my pan with these onions. That's going to keep it from burning on the very bottom, not that it would potentially burn, but just in case. And I just throw them in there to support the bottom of the meat. That part's getting ready. Let's take a look and see if we can possibly get this turned over. You see how that's browned out. What I want, and I brown as much of the sides as I can first, because it gives me something to hold on to on the side. Now that's got a nice browning on it, and that's what I want it to look like all over when I'm done. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. What this is going to do is burn off some of the fat on the very top, allow the fat to stay on the inside. One of the nice things about this cut of meat is that the more fat that you actually have on it, the better it will come out. The little ropes I'm not too concerned with, because at this point they're really not doing a whole lot. In fact, I'll get that one in a second. As I said, what I'm trying to do is brown the whole outside. What I started with was a little tab of butter, a little bit of EVO, olive oil, and bring that pot up to about medium and give that a good searing. Now as I start to get this ready, alright, we're through with the fire alarms. As you can see, this is still browning up nice. It didn't take too long. Now what I have done is I've put these onions in the tray that it's going to cook with. And what I am going to do, this one's almost gone, is add some wine. That one is gone. And one of the important things you want to do is make sure the wine is still good, and it is. And I use that much out of the bottle. And then I'm going to put about 10 ounces of water in. At this time I'm going to put in a little minced garlic. That looks about right. A little black pepper. Looks about right. A little garlic powder, and this only takes a drop. And a little salt. And again, it only takes a drop. Now that's ready to put the meat on. See how our meat's doing. I think we're on the bottom end of it. And I'm going to let that. And if you notice, this is creating some juices on the inside here, which I'm going to be using to make a gravy. I'm using the flavor from the best part of this meat, which is the fat. I'm going to give this a flip to see if we're anywhere near. Oh yeah, that looks good. Now again, while you've got it searing, the best thing to do is just leave it, because if you move it around, you won't get the proper feeling. So you leave that set. And right now, it's about 11:30 in the morning. And if I put this in to the oven, which is preheated right now, in a few moments, this should be just about perfect, about 5:30. And I will keep an eye on it through the day. And if I need to add more water, I may add a little water, and I may add a little wine to go with it. Now, this juice is eventually going to go into my gravy when we're all done. So when I'm done cooking, I don't want a whole lot in there. We're going to give that a try and see if that's about right. And I can turn the heat off and let that simmer for a few minutes. And then we're going to place it right on the onions and the spices, and when that begins to cook in the oven, very low temperature, it will release moist, keep it moist on the inside because the outside's seared. The other thing I like to do is keep my things filled, which I didn't today. Okay. Now, what I want to do lay that right inside. I'm going to set this off. I'm going to pop the oven open. And quite literally, just let that set. Now, you notice there's a lot of grease and fat and whatnot in there. Well, I'm going to improve that a little bit. I may put a little EVO in there. What I'm looking for is the fat. I also will put a drop of wine. Want to get all these juices. Also a drop of water. I want to cool that plate. Just a little more water. I just want to cover the bottom. There, and what I've done is I've prepped myself for making gravy later. I will, what I do is I take a little bit of all-purpose flour, and I put flour in here, put water in here, put the cap on it, and shake it and shake it and shake it. And then when I've got this just right, then I'll take a whisk and begin to whisk that in to thicken this. But before I do that, I want the juices that are in the bottom of that pan to be added back to this. So this is going to sit for right now. At the same time, when I do get ready, I'm going to be adding sliced mushrooms into this. And I will cook the sliced mushrooms up so that when this all comes together, it's a nice, creamy, mushroomy gravy that'll go on top of the potatoes and the meat. And so that's the beginning of this show, and let's go from there. Ooh. Okay, well, I've let that cook, and it looks absolutely delicious. I'm going to set that off and let that set in the plate for a little while. What I'm going to do, because I want to make a really, really good gravy, and by the way, I've already cooked the potatoes, and and I cooked some corn to go with it. What I'm going to do, this is what I have for my gravy to start with. I started it a little bit ago. I'm hoping everyone knows how to make gravy. I'm assuming. But I'm going to turn this broth into my frying pan, and I kept most of the onions out, and the one that I put in there I'm going to scoop out for right now and put back in. Now I'm going to turn this up. As I said before, I scraped the bottom of this. There's no more of the juices in there. What I like to use at this point is a small whisk to whisk everything off the sides and get everything going. Now I've got this on high. I'm hoping to bring this up to a medium boil. I am going to move that so that I can keep my corn warm. It does. I wish this had smell-o-vision in it, because it smells absolutely delicious. And what I have prepared is some flour and water in a small container, and I shake the living daylights out of it. So there's no more flour in the bottom, there's no more flour anywhere. I find that to make a good gravy, flour is probably one of the best mediums. You can use cornstarch if you want. I know people that like cornstarch and believe that's cat's meow, but my own personal favorite is flour. It adds a nice flavor to it, and it doesn't gel afterwards. Cornstarch seems to gel afterwards. As you can see, this is starting to boil in good shape. I've got it up on high right now. I want to get it going in good shape. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm going to cut up these onions, because I'm going to add some of these onions to that mix. And I don't want them to be real big pieces. I want them to be smaller pieces. But they have cooked all afternoon with this mix. Oh, that's looking good over there. And we're going to add these into the gravy with the mushrooms. And I must say, I cooked the onions ahead of time as well. The mushrooms. If you don't know how to cook mushrooms, give me a call. It is pretty easy to do. Now I've got this pretty well at a rolling boil. There's all the spices are in there, including the garlic powder, salt, pepper, and I'll have you notice I did fill my salt shaker while we were not looking. Okay. That's at a good rolling boil right there. And I am going to add, very slowly, some flour and water. I don't want it to become lumpy. Nobody likes lumpy gravy. But I use this to thicken it. And it has a real, oh, I wish this was smell-o-vision. because it's really starting to come into it. And it also, the thing about flour is it also maintains the color that is already in the gravy. If you notice, this gravy is already dark brown. That might be enough. Now, gravy is very thin when it's very hot, but as it begins to cool, it will thicken, especially if it's done with flour. And I'm going to take a close look at this and say, yeah, maybe I could put a drop more in there, which means I'm going to light it up one more time, let it come to a good boil. I can see the little bits of garlic in there, and I can certainly smell all the other spices that are in there. The wine that was placed in there originally brings up a flavor of its own, a smell of its own. I'm going to relight, Jesus, I'm going to relight the potatoes and corn that I have cooking. Oh, there we go. I think I only need about that much to make it perfect. Yep. And I shut that off. Now I have pre-cooked some mushrooms, and I'm going to add those in. The mushrooms were cooked in the frying pan that I used to brown the roast. Oh, this is looking very good. Very, very, very good. Now I'm going to add, and it doesn't look like a lot, but I'm going to add it. I'm going to add all the onions. I love onions. That's just a personal preference. And we're going to let that cook together. And at this point, I'd suggest maybe taking a taste to see if it has enough salt or enough flavoring. This is a large batch of gravy. It should be plenty enough to go with that sized roast. And to try that, I'm going to just take a taste. Oh, I wish you could taste how good that is. I'm going to let that set. What I am going to do, and I'll turn this around for you. That looks perfect. I will try another slice here, but I can I can assure you that this is very, very tender. In fact, I'm going to try a bite of this. Oh, I wish you had smell-o-vision and taste-o-vision. It's done perfectly. It's still red, but it is cooked so slowly that it is done perfect. And that's how to cook a good chuck roast. I have potatoes that are finished, corn that is finished. You can choose whatever you like, but that gravy, thumbs up to that.